I want to start this video off a bit differently than I usually do. And if you are new here or just don't care about any sentimentality, I suggest just skipping to the time I have right here. This is my 10th upload on this channel, and it's an upload I do really care about. The only reason I haven't posted this sooner is that I wanted to make it as good as I possibly can. This is the video idea that literally started my channel, and why I even have made this channel in the first place. As silly as it is, a dozen or more people spamming my reply section to review Iron Lung when my comment wasn't anything about it, and I wasn't even a YouTuber at the time, or haven't even uploaded a single video, and that is somehow the reason I am doing this, and I have something to do nowadays. As much as this content creation stuff has been kinda draining, it is still something I am legitimately proud of. I can now discuss things I've grown fondly of, and hell, me making this channel has even led to me making new friends that have made my life way less lonely. So I truly thank those who have stuck around here and who have forced me to become this YouTuber with the fun little story that I can now tell. I am incredibly and internally grateful for the people who joked about me reviewing the game because another YouTuber refused to do it. This funny little joke actually has made me better in a way. Anyways, Iron Lung. Now, as the game that started my channel in the first place, there is a lot of greatness behind this title, and there definitely is. So much so that it's already had many videos discussing that title. So, if there are so many videos discussing it, how am I going to bring something new to the table? Well, instead of giving a happy expression about it, I want to go through the entirety and say the things I both enjoy and don't enjoy about it. This game is really good, and I really do appreciate it and of the lore, but I rather play the game for the gameplay and experience the lore later. But with all of that out of the way, let's discuss Iron Lung, the game that has started my channel and the game that you have all been waiting for me to cover. As we start a new game, we are greeted to a gloomy description of the events that which have happened. Not only does this immediately spark our interest, as blood isn't exactly something we correlate with the moon, but it also gives us a striking feeling of loneliness that will be forever present in this game. This gloom fate that has sparked humanity and us receiving something far, far worse somehow, already makes the world building of this world deafeningly silent. And after all that reading, we are thrown into this apocalyptic, rust-filled replacement for a submarine. We are given the only words we will ever hear in this game as we are forced to descend, increasing the already plentiful amount of dread that we feel.
I'm seeing some voltage irregularities in the instruments, so keep an eye out for sparks or flames or anything like that.
And with this, we get to take in how it is far too late to turn back. Everything around us alludes to the fact that we are essentially trapped here, and it is even vague if we are able to get out of here even if we finish our mission. But nonetheless, everything is dreadful as it seems. And did I mention the claustrophobia? One thing that Iron Lung gets the most amount of credit for is its claustrophobic setting, as the only colors we get to see are rusted oranges and red with dim lighting, and with the only highlights being simple numbers, it truly makes a claustrophobic setting work. And this is something I love for multiple reasons. For one, this feeling is with you every step of the way throughout your adventure. Its setting is an atmosphere where you feel stuck in with no way out, and thus every small thing is even more nauseating. It impresses me on how much they made a semi-open world experience become very claustrophobic. The only depiction of your outside world is nothing but grayscale, already fitting with the dull, unappetizing scenery. Along with this, even the outside feels claustrophobic due to the picture being presented in a way that makes it feel very compact, as you have little more to see than a 1x1 frame of an empty photo. The photo, while being your only good way of seeing outside, isn't exactly reliable either. It's slow, and the sound it makes is compared to an agonizing scratches of a printer. And with the only way of you being able to see the outside world being a picture rather than a video, makes the scenery even more claustrophobic. Since it's the only distraction after you take the pictures are your thoughts on them, what they mean, it feels more like your scenery is changing rather than you actually moving, which is something I certainly do have to give credit to. And after the picture is being taken, all of that remains is silence. The only distraction after you take the pictures are your thoughts on them, what they mean, and what they are supposed to represent in this overarching story. And that unreliable nature about this game is something I love even more. Every part of the iron lung looks like it's gonna fail any second. You can feel the lack of authenticity with every motion the sub makes. The tech is severely outdated just from a glance, and thus the unreliability of everything is forever apparent. And this is severely terrifying. This makes every slight motion, every bump, every outlier, all the more terrifying as you have no way to defend yourself. It's not exactly fear of the unknown, but it's the fear of guessing, and that's what I love about this game. And along with this, it makes you feel like you're constantly on a timer to see which will happen first, your completion or the submarine breaking down. And speaking of outdated tech, yeah, we have even more to talk about. Okay, so the controls and way you navigate the caverns is something I have a love-hate relationship with. Starting off with the negative, while this is a very cool concept and a very unique one at that, doing this always feels so repetitive. It's just a constant moving or checking just to see if you're at the correct place or not. It can all get really draining as time goes on. This also makes it so every objective you complete, while it brings you a relief as you are now a point closer to finishing, it is also far from satisfying as you are back to this repetitive and boring cycle. But this boring signature isn't without its positives, weirdly. With how boring this is and the feeling of everything around you starting to become white noise, it makes every small irregularity make you all the more terrified. With how boring this is and with the feeling of everything around you starting to become white noise, every small irregularity makes you all the more terrified. From the little beeps of how far you are away from something to the rapid fast beeps that indicate that something is close to you, or just a single add-on to the white noise kicks your heart rate to the moon. Moon. And with how unexpected these scares are, despite also being pretty well spaced out, these feelings never get tiring and always manage to be extremely terrifying. So yeah, a love-hate relationship. So with the scares now being mentioned, I should probably now dive into them. The scares in this game are few and far between, not to mention how they are sometimes a bit underwhelming when taken out of the context of the game. Heck, sometimes even in context they are underwhelming. A lot of them go from sudden noise to just a moans from something outside, but nothing really too special. And, well, that is except for one. Yeah, these might seem like simple, plain, and kind of boring, but let me tell you, these are terrifying. Even the knowledge of no threats being present in the game, I still get shaken to my core whenever these happen. The silent drone of the surrounding ambience and occasional noises being broken by this comparatively ear-piercing beeps is already enough to get your heart rate to shoot up several times. But having it to be surrounded by absolutely nothing until the sensor dissipates, otherwise with a rapidly flashing green light, and your heart rate is in the triple digits. And I have to just explain more of my approval of the mystery and the horrors of the ocean. And that is already a, well, common fear most people have, along with claustrophobia. So being in this enclosed rust bucket with something large enough to be on par with a tower of a rock swinging by you is certainly terrifying. And thus the mystery and needing to solve it leads to many players to maneuver in order to catch a picture, a feat which we are never able to really accomplish. And this is when a portion of the level design truly sticks out to me. The way this game handles its mechanics makes it so whenever you have to take a picture or maneuver, it always is a rush against time. Thus, when we finally do have the chance to take a picture of this thing, it is terrifying beyond belief. Yeah, so this scene is iconic for a reason. Ignoring the fact that the fairly flashing sensor is already terrifying in of itself, we have been trying and failing to take a picture of whatever our deep sea stalker could be. Sure, we had glimpses here and there, but that was about it. But now, that moment is finally in our grasp. We don't have to move the sub slowly, but instead we just have to book it to the camera and take a picture. And when we finally get that moment, it is purely terrifying. For a moment that was less than a second, it feels like an entire minute, and for good reason. The near dead silence after we take the picture is unrivaled. The functionality of this moment is nothing different from the photos we took before. There is only the way that it was handled that's different. When looking at all the other photographs, it is clear that the only way that the silence was broken was us taking something away from the photo. We either had something to theorize or knew our environment just a little bit more. But here, we have nothing but pure terror as we are staring into the eye of what was trying to kill us. Or at least we assume it's trying to kill us. But still, there is absolutely nothing to take away from this photograph that isn't a primal fear that all prey has. And the events that transpire afterwards take full advantage of this primal fear in such an immaculate way. Our sub, which we have been so worried of breaking and has left us so vulnerable, has been pushed to the side effortlessly, making an extreme power gap known. While this may not be a jump scare in the traditional sense, few can argue that this is not one of the most iconic moments of this game. The only other moment in competition is the jump scare that follows right afterwards. I have rarely seen a jump scare so cheap be done so effectively. Usually these FNAF-like scripted jump scares are nothing but groan-worthy after you get scared, but this is built up in a conceivable manner. Whether you love or hate Iron Lung, you cannot deny the fact that Iron Lung is focused around its mystery. Not only are you specifically told that your job here is to record your findings, but with how mysterious the nature of this game is, it is almost impossible not to be lured into a theorizing mood. Having this jump scare be hidden in secrecy by your want and desire to know more about this game, to put all the puzzle pieces together, makes this jump scare more effective than it has any right to be. Many people, and I mean many people, hate this jump scare. They find it groan-worthy, overrated, and just underwhelming in general. And that's a statement I do myself agree with. But I would be lying if I said that because of those reasons, this jump scare is worthless. What leads into this jump scare, for example, is downright sublime. You can see that your oxygen is just a few breaths away from being absolutely zero. And you can also see blood starting to flow up and consume your tank from the inside out. You spent all of this game worrying about when the Iron Lung was inevitably gonna give in to whatever pressure it was taking. And now it seems like that moment is gonna finally come. Everything around you is breaking at the seams, so why wouldn't you be scurrying around to finally navigate through this narrow passageway and to end your adventure? This has become a run against time in the best way possible. Everything is at its climax and you just need a few more moments for the Iron Lung to keep function. You are right at the finish line of this race, and to have that chance of freedom suddenly robbed away from you makes this jump scare nothing but excellence. You being robbed of that chance also has some symbolism that I want to call attention to. It being this cheap and underwhelming makes the jump scare feel even more unsatisfying. Your death in its entirety means absolutely nothing. Your entire mission was a failure. Even the ending sentences after your death prove that your time was just a waste. What this game lacks in gameplay, it does excellent as storytelling and symbolism. I 100% believe that this game is better to watch and see than to actually play. But I would still be lying if I said that the areas that it does succeed in don't do so tremendously. Welp, there it is. The idea that started this whole channel and the reason I am even here creating content. I finally made this silly little gag that started my channel into a reality. I wouldn't be lying if I said that I was tremendously worried about this video being stale. After all, what could I ever say that hasn't already been said before? And that is not to say I don't like this game, quite the opposite. I find the charm of it and the story, the world building and symbolism absolutely fantastic sometimes. It just isn't the best game to talk about. That is why I made this video a 10 video special rather than a 100, 200, 600 subscriber special. Anyways, I want my 100 subscriber special to feel completely unique to me. Well, what about that whatever subscriber special? First, I want to make it a 1K special, so subscribe if you do want to see that soon. But I also just want to put it in the hands of my community. And no, you did not hear that wrong. Yeah, and I already know you're going to be typing in the comments, so let me at least try and organize this. You can see here, or maybe in the link of the description, my Twitter. You will be able to vote on what my community 1K subscriber special will be. But if you do not want to go to Twitter, I will also put a community post, maybe in a few days. But all that aside, I do hope that while this video isn't a subscriber special, I do still hope that I made this video well enough that it lives up to the hype.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome